I want to teach you how to do a three-way phone call. These are so fun in this business. I love three-way phone calls. And I probably love them mostly because I'm a mom. I have 3 kids, and I'm dropping kids off at school, I'm picking kids up from school, I'm all over the place, which is awesome. But Advocare can go wherever a cell phone can go. And so it's just been an amazing way for us to build our business. And so this is what I want to teach on today, is how to do a three-way phone call. So first of all, I would recommend, rather than using the three-way phone calling that you have through your phone system, is I like to use just a free conference calling system where I get a phone number assigned to me, and it's actually free, and you can get your own phone number, okay? And you do that like the place that we use, and there's several that you can choose from, but we use freeconferencecalling.com, and then you'll get a free phone number. Now what this does is it lets you, your distributor, and their guest or their prospect all call in on one phone number, okay? So I have a designated phone number, I give it to my distributor, and they give it to their guest, and we all get on a phone call together. And what I realized about this and why this is powerful and why I'm telling you this is because after doing this business for 11 years, I found out that if I set an appointment for a three-way phone call, and it's through my phone system, someone's calling me, sometimes I set the phone down, walk away, come back, I miss the phone call, and it's like we're chasing each other around, trying to get each other to pick up the phone. And we found that to be really frustrating, and sometimes you lose people that way. So if you just have a time that everybody calls in from their phones, it's like we're all in control of dialing a phone number, and we all end up on the same line together. And what we have found is people aren't chasing each other around, trying to get each other to answer the phone. It's awesome. And so we've had a higher retention of people showing up to the actual three-way phone call, okay? So in this situation, it's not called really a three-way phone call, it's just a conference call with 3 people on it. So the 3 people involved, there's you, and you're in the way I'm teaching this right now is that you are the sponsor. You're the one that's going to be delivering the third-party credibility. You're the one that's going to be delivering the message for your distributor. Then there's the distributor, okay, and the distributor has their guest or their prospect that they want to share Advocare with. Now the three-way phone call might be for something real specific like a product need, but what I'm training on today is when somebody wants to share Advocare as a business opportunity and just the greatness of Advocare with a friend. Okay, so that's what I'm really teaching on today. And there's you, the distributor, and the guest, right? But do you notice the words I put under the distributor? This is really important. When you get on the phone call together, the distributor is going to say, a couple words, like, hey, I have my friend Susan on the call, and Susan, this is my friend Jenny, which is me, and Jenny, would you mind sharing with Susan just Advocare in general, the products, but also, Jenny, would you please share your story with her in the way of business, and just, I'm going to sit back and mute myself and let you guys talk and see what we can do here. Really simple. This distributor at this point, their job is over with. Done. All their work is done. They need to go on mute because you, which in this teaching scenario is going to be me, I need to talk to Susan. And it's going to now be a conversation between 2 people. Even though 3 people are on the phone, this distributor is a fly on the wall. They also have, the little fly has their journal out and they're taking notes. This is how I learned Advocare, taking notes with my sponsor, talking and answering the questions. I'm not going to have anybody jumping in and trying to add value to the conversation, because what happens if 2 people are talking to the guest, that makes them feel a lot of pressure. That doesn't make them feel free, okay? So we want to just remove one person from the conversation in the form of a mute button. Real easy. Okay, so there are 3 parts to a conversation. You being the one that's going to drive the conversation forward, okay? I want you to get this so ingrained in you, what I'm teaching you, that you could do this if I called you at 3 o'clock in the morning and said, okay, three-way call, go, and you could do it. Because when I go into a three-way call now in a conversation, I have an exact format of how I go into a conversation. It's not this random conversation with somebody. It's very specific, okay? So the 3 parts, I'm going to connect with the person first and foremost. I'm just going to kind of warm up to that person just a little bit, get them to warm up with me. The second thing that's going to happen is I'm going to share my story, my Advocare story with them. The third thing that's going to happen is I'm going to ask them what they want out of Advocare now that they know a little bit more, okay? So let me break those 3 parts down. So it's connect, tell your story, and ask. Now here's what's powerful about connecting with somebody, okay? I'm gonna flip this over and show you this. So this is the connect page. When you connect with them, you know what I'm actually doing is I am asking 3 major questions. I ask these 3 questions nearly every single time I'm on a conference call, okay? And these are the 3 questions I ask. Did you know that you ask questions in order to connect? That's how you connect with the person, is by asking questions, okay? So number 1, I'm gonna say, you know, and let's pretend that because I'm doing the conference call and I'm the sponsor in this situation, I am going to ask Susan, in my example, hey Susan, how do you and Tom know each other? So I'm gonna ask how the distributor and the guest know each other. Hey, how do you guys know each other? And what this does is it gets Susan, in this example, Susan's the prospect or the guest, it gets Susan talking, okay? And Susan, because she's talking, she goes, oh, actually we went to school together, or my kids go to the same school as Tom's kids, or whatever, okay? And I just let them talk. And then I say, oh, okay, that's great. My second question is, so tell me a little bit about yourself, Susan. Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you work? I mean, what's your situation right now? Then I get Susan talking. Now, I'm not just asking questions just, you know, because I'm supposed to ask questions. I'm actually asking questions because when I go into my story in a minute, I need to know about Susan and understand who she is so that my story can match who she is, and I can connect my story with her story so that we connect, okay? And remember this is a good side note. People get excited about Advocare when they can see themselves in the story, okay? So if I can help Susan see herself in the Advocare story, she's gonna be excited about that. So I'm finding out about Susan. How do you know and Tom know each other? So tell me a little bit about yourself, Susan. Are you married? Do you have kids? Do you have a job? When she answers this stuff, her answer is probably gonna be very telling of what Susan cares about. She might go, oh yeah, I have 3 kids, you know, and then I'm gonna know kids are, you know, she told me that answer first, or I'm married, or here's my job. You know, so sometimes you can tell a lot about a person with how they answer this question, what they care about. So take note of that. And sometimes you are taking notes, especially if you're new. Take notes as you're learning about people. The third question is, okay, so, and I might ask more questions in here, by the way. If they say, oh, I work at Nike, I might go, oh, well, what do you do at Nike? I'm not just gonna go, okay, check, question, and next, you know, because you don't want them, this doesn't look like an interview to them. They are in a conversation with you. They have no idea that these are questions that you already know you're gonna ask. So it's woven into a conversation, if that makes sense. So I'm gonna kind of camp out here just for a little bit, a couple minutes, not very long. I'm not gonna take a lot of Susan's time. And then the third question I'm gonna ask Susan is, okay, so Susan, and it's good to use their name, Susan, tell me what you know about Advocare up to this point. I know we're on the phone today for a specific reason. What do you know so far? And a lot of times they say, well, nothing. You know, Tom just told me, you know, he felt good and he gave me a spark and I liked it. And I go, okay, that's great. And it doesn't matter how much they know. You know, sometimes the less they know, the better, okay? So this is what I do next. And I think this is one of the most important parts of the story. And this is how I say it. And you might have to pause this video and really write this down, because these are really helpful words. So this is what I say to Susan. I say, so Susan, how about this? I'm gonna share my story, and I'm gonna be really brief, because I don't wanna take a whole lot of your time, but I wanna share what Advocare products have done for me, of course, but also what it has done financially for us and for my family. It's been pretty amazing. But most importantly, in red, because these are key words that I always say, most importantly, I wanna hear from you. I want to get your feedback and see if you see yourself coming with us on this journey that we're on right now. And almost every time that prospect goes, oh, okay. So all of a sudden they're kind of like sitting up straighter, you can feel it, and they're going to listen because you said, I'm going to get your feedback afterwards. This is important to set up your story this way, okay? So then you are going to tell your story. Now make sure that you've watched how to package your story on the training clips, because you're going to tell your story and you're going to package your story. What does a package story means? It's a story that's not a mess, okay? It's a story that logically makes sense moving from one place to another, and that's why you have to package your story. You don't just randomly throw it out there and it doesn't make any sense, okay? Package your story, 2-minute story, 3 minutes at the most, and your story can be tweaked towards the prospect according to the answers that they gave you on the connection point, if that makes sense, which I'm sure it does, okay? And then I just told my story, and now here's the powerful part about this whole conference call, is I need to ask Susan what she thinks. I don't just jump off and go, well, hope it was, nice, see ya. I'm gonna be vulnerable, and I'm gonna ask, and I'm gonna say, so Susan, with that being said, and this is kind of funny, my team always like, man, Jenny, you say that all the time because I'm transitioning. So with that being said, what are your thoughts about this so far? Talk to me. What are you thinking? And I be quiet because I've done some talking. She's heard me talk for 2 to 3 minutes. It's Susan's turn to tell me how she feels. And you know what Susan's going to do? Her answer is always going to fall into 1 of 3 categories. She's going to go, well, you know what? Wow. It's intriguing, the income's intriguing, but I think I need to try some of the products. I'd like to try the products first, and if the products work, then I might be interested in sharing it. That's a very common answer. And if that's the case, okay, products, then here's what I do with that. Because you got to do something with their answer, okay? So products is I guide them to the computer, and I say, hey, are you in front of a computer? Let me show you how that would work. And then I help them put in their cart. Here's the cart, click on the 24-day challenge. Great, you got that, you see that, that's awesome. And I help them click through that. And then they get that in the cart. And then I say, if you're ready to purchase that, obviously that's great. But otherwise, it's sitting right there in your cart, and I'm so excited for you. And then I do this. And then I say, when people ask, I say, Susan, here's what's going to happen. People are going to ask you about AdvoCare. And so now this is vision. Now I'm speaking what's going to happen. I say, Susan, people are going to be asking you about AdvoCare, and you're going to be smiling more, and there's going to be an extra skip in your step, and people are going, what are you doing? Okay, so this is what I want you to remember, Susan. This phone call that we're doing right now, I would be more than happy to do this phone call with you and that person. And all we do is we all 3 call into this number, and we just set it up. I would rather us do that than you go, well, I think you do, you trying to, help somebody and feeling like, oh no, what do I do? Susan, I'll do this very same phone call with you. And they go, oh, okay. And see, that eases off the pressure of sales. And I say, and I'd say, Susan, I promise you this, I'll never talk somebody into doing something that you put on the phone with me, and I'll never talk them out of doing what they want. It's all about them. And I'm not going to try to sell every friend you have on AdvoCare, but I am here and available to tell the story just like you heard it today. And that's what I say, even if she says she wants product. And she goes, okay, well, that's good. And that oftentimes Susan, she'll text me, and I'll say, hey, I text, here's my phone number. Do you want to text me back or call me? And they do, and it's so awesome, okay? If somebody says they want to earn income, and that's their response, hey, Susan, what do you think? And Susan goes, you know what, I need to know how this business works. Tell me about the business plan. Well, I don't go into the business plan. I say, you know what, Susan, what's really funny about this whole thing, do you know that these conference calls are about 90% of what I do? And so, Susan, what I will do to help you make money, and this is going to shock you how simple this is, Susan, I will do this very same phone call with your friends. So if you wrote 10 people on a list, you and I can start going through, and they'll call this phone number when we set up a time, and we'll go through a list of 10 people, and we'll look up and see what happened. And in a list of 10, Susan, here's the thing. Not all of them are necessarily going to get on the products or say yes to AdvoCare. That's not my goal. But you know what? At least half of them are probably going to get on product. A couple of them are going to want to make money, and a couple of them will do nothing. And she goes, oh, really? Yeah, really? Okay. And I say, so with that being said, who's the one person, and I know you have a name floating around in there, in your head, the one person that you can think of immediately that you've been thinking about during this phone call that you want to know about AdvoCare. And this phone call we had, you'd like to share that with them. And every time they give me a name, I'm telling you, they give you a name. And they say, well, you know what, my friend Jody. I've been thinking about her. She'd probably be the first person I would tell. Okay, so let's do this. Let me get off the phone, give Jody a call, and ask her if she has 20 minutes or less, and we'll just repeat this phone call right here. We'll do it all over again. She'll call in, you'll call in, I'll call in. Now remember, we have random distributor Tom listening this whole time, right? Now he's not random, I'm just saying he's just kind of still on mute. What do we do with Tom? Well, Tom's welcome to call in, but because Tom's a new distributor, I'm not going to rely on Tom to go mentor Susan. I'm just building through, I'm just going. And I say, hey, Tom, if you want to call in too, that's great. So, Susan, let me get your phone number, and I will call you back in 10 minutes and see if you talk to Jody, and then we'll talk to her. And if she can't talk tonight, then tomorrow I'm available at 7 o'clock. Let's do it then. And do you know that many times people get off the phone and they call that person, and all I'm trying to do is create a win. And sometimes I say, Susan, I just want to get one phone call under your belt so you can see how great this is. And this is how Bob and I, in 11 years, have been building through and finding the next person. It's been really great. And Susan might say, you know what, that all sounds good and exciting, but I don't have any money right now, or I can't get paid, whatever. They just heard a dynamic story about income and product, and sometimes it's just nothing. And, I don't know what else to say to inspire them more. And so what I do at that point is I just say, well, that's great, Susan. It was really nice to meet you. And of course, that if you ever want to feel better and have what we have and make some money, of course we're here. But I respect that decision, and it's been really, really nice meeting you. Can you think of any other questions that you'd want to ask me? And oftentimes they say no, and I say, okay, well, great, awesome. Well, I know you and Tom are probably need to get off and talk, and I'll jump off this conference call. You and Tom can finish up your conversation, and maybe someday that we'll meet up again. And that's it. And so these are really fun. Now, here's the key. Here's the key. What's the overall goal of a conference call, of a three-way phone call? The overall goal is this: to book the next appointment, to book the next phone call with the next person, okay? If we go back to, going all the way back to the first piece of paper out here, we had you as the sponsor, you have your distributor, and then you have your guest or your prospect. Your overall goal, the most perfect call, is when this person has that name floating in their head and they're willing to call them and set up another call with you again. Now, I'm not saying you accomplish that every time, because you don't. I mean, the 100% of the time you won't do that, but that's the goal. And if you do that, here's the next challenge. Susan puts me on the phone with Jody, right, in the example I'm using. So I get on the phone with Jody and I do this all over again. What do I do with Jody? The very same thing. I say, Jody, who's the number one person you can think of right now floating around in your head? And then Jody says, well, you know what, my mom, she's been trying to lose weight. Well, let's talk to her. Let's get her on this phone call. And so with Jody, then we go there. And we just keep going. We don't stop. And that's one of the things that we see in this business, is one of the stumbling blocks, is a distributor will have a distributor they're helping, they do 3 or 4 phone calls with. They help them get a distributor, and then they back up again. And they don't keep doing that all the way down through. And if you build that depth through 3 phone calls, this business can be explosive. We have a whole team in Prescott, Arizona that was built solely off of these 3 phone calls. And Tiffany Stadler, she earned a tremendous amount of income, earned the Hawaii incentive based on 3 phone calls, and her friend Kelly made $6,500 her first month, all on 3 phone calls. So this is just powerful. We hope that you use this to build your business.